Well, good evening. I would like to welcome you to the book launch for Lisa Moore, and this is her book, Dreams, Flings, and Wings, Lyrical Prose of Divorce and Faith by Lisa Moore. Let's welcome Lisa Moore to the stage. Hello. Hi, Lisa. Hi. I can't hear you.
I hear you.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
You
I
sound
hear you.
great.
I hear you now. So exciting. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I am feeling nervous, Kontji. I'm super excited about the book launch. I'm super excited to have gotten to this place, but it's a daunting moment to put yourself out there in print.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I mean, talk about the inspiration to put your thoughts down on paper. What was the inspiration to write this?
Yes. Well, I went through a divorce. And the truth of the matter is, since third grade, I have been a journaler. It has been the place where I go to make meaning of the world since third grade. And that was no different as an adult. And I found that, when in marriage, when I was happily in love, it was a place to document that. When challenges hit, it was a place to make meaning of that. And then the journey post divorce, it absolutely became a bit of a therapist for me to put the words down. It was a place of healing. And I found that in reflecting back on my journals that because it had been such a painful journey, I had written very differently. It was very metaphorical. It was poetic. It was kind of at a distance. And so I thought, what would it be like to kind of string it together, and shared it with some friends. And they said, "You've got to put this out. I think it could really help other people." So I did that.
Does he know has he read it?
Uh, he has not read it, but it's as I shared with him, he knows and is very supportive.
Well, that's
Uh,
great. I love that.
yeah, and the truth of the matter is, he's not the only man in the book. That's the fling part. So it's about me. It's about a woman. It's about that feels like very much in her life a little girl wearing grown-up clothes every day, thinking, do people possibly think I'm intimidating when I'm really scared to death? So it's not a true it's lyrical prose, it's poetry, and it's a lens of looking at what the emotions are for a person going through this experience. And it's written I woke up in the middle of the night one night and thought, oh my gosh, I was really pondering, how do you put this into a format? How do you take journal entries and put it into a format that makes some sense, that has some structure to it? And I woke up in the middle of the night as all my best inspiration comes about 3:30 in the morning. And so I
Of
sat
course.
straight up in
Of
bed
course.
at 3:30 in the morning and said, "Oh my God," literally talking to God. "Oh dear God, it's the Psalms." Which I then laughed out loud and was like, "Oh God, you have a sense of humor," because I've spent a lifetime really hating the Psalms, hating them, like
Oh,
really hating them.
really?
I just felt like it was a bunch of whiners. Get over yourself. You're just complain, 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 whine, 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 beg, beg, beg. And took a class and learned that there's actually three forms of Psalms, and that's the structure of the book. They're the Psalms of orientation, which is when all things are great and things are good and balanced and stable. And then there's the Psalms of disorientation, which is a time of lament, of grief, of difficulty and challenge. Apparently, those are the only Psalms I ever read as a kid. It's like, gosh, get over it.
What is this?
But it's life, right?
Right.
And then there are the Psalms of new orientation, where there's a regrounding and a new understanding and appreciation of God's love and support. And that really was my journey. It was the cycle, and it's really the cycle of life for all of us. So the book is formatted in that way, where we're kind of all. And if you look at the cover of the book, it's actually a painting I did in Peru after a God experience. And in Peru, the infinity symbol is a spiral. and it's like a coil, which I think is really profound because that really represents how we're either in something, coming out of something, or about to go into something. So that's that orientation, disorientation, reorientation. That's just life. It's just the cycles we go through, and that's the structure of the book.
Okay, and I'm going to tell people wherever you are, start to go ahead and put your questions in the comment sections so that we can ask Lisa these questions coming up. Okay, so this was interesting. Okay, first of all, the title is super sassy and saucy. I was like, ooh, did she say flings? Is flings what I think it is?
I did. Yeah, I did. It had a much kind of like a much more boring title initially, and but I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, no, this is really what it is. And so dreams are really that sense of that place of orientation when you have dreams in life. And my young, I got married at age 24. And so I had all the dreams and hopes, going forward, and then flings, just trying to figure out, looking for love. When you go through divorce, there's a sense of I'll never be loved again, and I'm not lovable. Like, that's just a psychological dynamic. It's like, how does someone I love, and I'm still best friends with my ex-husband. Let's just be clear about that. We're very, very, we've been friends since 3rd grade. We're always going to be friends.
Wow, yeah.
And we co-parent brilliantly. I think so. I don't know. My children would say brilliantly, but we co-parent pretty well. And so this was just kind of a way to, it's like, if my best friend, if it doesn't work with that, how could it ever possibly work? And so there's that psychological damage that just kind of happens, you have to work through. And so, and for me, relationship, physical intimacy was like, to me, initially a pattern of that's what love is. And then there's, you come out of that, and the wings are really finding uh, your wings to fly and soar and be full of love that the universe has to offer. It doesn't really have to come from another human being. It comes from within and from the universe. And so that's the basis of dreams, flings, and wings.
All right. You were very brave to, just really just be yourself and, put yourself out there. Can you just talk about just those moments, up to the point where you were publishing? I'd like to know your journey, your publishing journey, because it's not only is it just saying I'm willing to put myself out there, but then, you have to get to that point where you're actually going to do it.
Yes. That you're right. And so a couple of years ago, I was a speaker at an event that was around doing vision boards and visioning for the new year. It was held on New Year's Day, and we talked about what it means to document your goals and put them out there. And I realized, while I was supposed to be one of the experts on the topic, that there was this dangling issue that I had around this book. I've been working on this book for over 17 years.
Mm, wow.
And it would go in spurts. There'd be a lot of action, and then I just like, I can't. Why am I even? Why do I think I can be an author? What am I thinking? And I'd put it away, but then it would emerge again, and it would come back, and it would evolve, and different things got added. And so I did this vision board exercise, and we actually made vision boards. And I realized on there that was a goal that I had set, that I had been denying for myself out of fear. And so much of what I talk about in my prose is around how fear holds us back, really. And in Peru, where I had the experience that's the cover of the book, I realized how much I was holding myself back. I was in my own way. So I had to own the fact that I'd put out into the universe that this was a goal. It took me a little longer than I anticipated, and I have a friend that's actually helping us with the production today, Queen Tatile, that was working on her own book, and she inspired me to get off center and make it happen. And I will tell you, during the COVID quarantine, you know, lots of weird thoughts happen in quarantine, right? And so there was I realized that yet again, this was a cloud over my head that I felt like was a barrier to moving forward in my life fully. And so I said, I either need to delete it, get it out of my computer and out of my life that way, or it needs to be published and get out of my computer and out of my life. So and so a friend encouraged me not to delete it, to actually publish it, and Tatile helped me nurture through the self-publishing process, and so I just did it.
Wow, I do want to say that there are several statements in the comments here. Just to encourage you here, Patricia Driscoll, I'm excited for you. Lisa Moore, Kim Brown, Lisa, you are amazing.
Oh,
Brenda K. Stegall, I hope I said that right. Stegall.
Seagal. Mhm.
Stegall. Okay, you've always had wings. They've just been growing and spreading over time. Another one from Queening. You did it. Queening all day.
Yeah.
But okay, so
That got me a little misty. Gosh, y'all.
I just thought you should hear that so that you feel
Yeah.
encouraged as you speak here and you feel empowered because these women are rooting for you. Okay,
Yes.
so I there's this one beautiful moment. I just loved this, and I know that there are so many moments in the book. This is beautiful. The girl closes her eyes and reflects on her journey. So many twists and turns. Moon faces come and gone. Her familiar oaring, which brought such joy and great pain, makes last minute attempts to pull her line. She's stronger and surer now, yet she's ever aware of how quickly doubt, fears, and tears well up. How does one not carry the ills of the past into the truth of the present? I mean, just what? This is great. So, when you're writing, is it day? Is it night? Do you remember what was happening in
You
that
kn it
moment?
well, I do. Uh, I do remember. Very, very wonderful man. It I keep a book, journal in my purse. I keep one by my bedside.
Oh,
I keep
okay.
one handy all the time. Yeah, that got me misty here, Kanji. Um,
Really?
I know,
Oh,
it's really sweet. Uh, and so I also probably overly process every day. And so I will sit in the evening, and it's kind of my meditation time, and I reflect kind of the events of the day, and then it'll just kinda hit my brain, and I have to get it out, and so I grab my journal and jot it down. It's just really no more scientific than that. I'd like to think I was one of those writers that could just sit down and come up with something brilliant and hammer it out. It's really not for me. It's just what it just emerges, and I have to put it out. I have to, and sometimes I don't even have anything handy, or I'm driving, so I just grab my phone and hit the microphone on my notes and just say it out loud and then transcribe it later.
so I mean, can you think of a favorite moment in the book?
Um, a favorite moment, and it's really interesting because I was thinking like, oh, if I need to read something, I need to pick one from each section and which one. Um, I actually think my favorite moment in the book is when I talk when I talk about how men are different kinds of flames.
Mm. Ooh,
Um,
do tell.
yeah, let me I didn't bookmark that one. Let me see if I can find it real quickly, but and it's really kind of funny, so I'll tell the story because who knows where this person is, but I uh had uh I was doing the online dating thing at one point, and so I meet this guy, and we go to his home for here it is. We go to his home for dinner because we had this is an dating terrible online dating story. So we went to dinner, we met at like a country club or something, and we go and his account wasn't working. So we had to leave. And so we went to his house and he made steaks. And so this was what I wrote after reflecting on that evening. All right. As she watched him carefully light the candles, it occurred to her that men are like various flames. lightning bugs, sparklers, candles, and wood fires. Each has merit and illuminates life. There's great benefit and joy in experiencing each. Many she has experienced are lightning bugs. She sees them blinking beautifully in the woods and stops to marvel at them. They come out at night, share their brilliance and flashes of splendor, then they're gone. There are many, and collectively they are a beautiful sight, but they are not solitary creatures. To capture one is cruel, and their light fades in a protective jar. Few are sparklers. They are fun and flashy. Their illumination flies wildly and takes her breath away. The fire quickly burns furiously, blue hot and passionate. But then, just as quickly, the spectacular flame vanishes to become mere dust particles on the ground. She is saddened by the lost light, but her heart is filled by its fast, hot sparkle. No sparkler has ever been lit, burned, and extinguished without leaving its holder smiling, saying, "That was great. I wish I had more." But we all know too much of a good thing never works. That much heat fades quickly. Then there are candles. There are so many varieties, shapes, colors, and scents to choose from. She views the selection, unsure of which to choose. Will the color, scent, and size match my mood and decor? Candles warm and fill a room slowly. Candles need attention and maintenance. One must check airflow, wax, and wick status to control the flame and extend the life of the candle. Candles bring peace and enjoyment. They are easy to be around and nice, predictable. This experience can have some longevity, and the relationship can lead to great comfort. Once the wick ends, the wax given all the flame it can, the bit remaining can provide for other needs, such as great scents in a drawer. The heat fades, but the giving can continue in another form over time. Ah, now the wood fire. The wood fire requires great care, nurturing, and construction before a flame is even possible. Small branches, twigs, and sticks are the beginning. A small flame must launch before the larger, more substantive logs are positioned and a full blaze possible. Once the time and energy are provided, a great landscape of variety emerges. But without the care and attention of a fire builder's efforts, it doesn't take flame. With proper care, the joyous flicker of the lightning bug is witnessed as the flames dance in the night air. The excitement, heat, and splendor of the sparkler are experienced when the wood pops and sparks are nudged. Red hot embers shoot upward in the night sky, then fade as they fly. The candle is experienced as the logs catch fire, and the space is heated and illuminated by its presence. When the wood fire excels, is in its many facets. It blinks, it sparkles, and it glows, yet it also smolders with heat so intense the smoldering coals of previous nurturing experiences together burn blue heat and glow patiently and beautifully as the foundation and basis for the fire's longevity. The wood fire will spark brilliantly when moved. As solid as wood fire is, it too can be smothered, oxygen depleted, the erosion of the foundation by not nurturing its source. New wood, new experiences, and exploration together in the fire keep the flame going. And this process of careful giving to a hot foundation is what keeps a wood fire going infinitely. She experienced all forms of illumination, yet each have fallen on neglect and faded. She knows this man's a candle. He has no flash like the lightning bug, no heat of the sparkler, and no sign of sustainable wood flames. And she just isn't in the mood for a candle sort of experience. She is done with him.
Wow. I have a question.
Mhm.
There are some questions piling up here in comments. I'm gonna get to that right after this. Can you just talk about your decision to put it in the third person when
Yeah,
you're and it sounds like you did that as you were journaling, but can you just explain that?
I did. I did it as I was journaling, and I realized that, and I didn't really consciously do it. It just happened that way. And going back and and reading some of my older journals, I realized that there was a pattern. And I really thought long and hard about, well, what's that about? And it's really interesting because a couple of years ago, I found a journal of my grandmother's when she was turning 30, and my mother was an infant. And she decided that she needed to write what her life was about for her daughters. And she started writing in the third person. And I thought, oh my gosh, it must be in the DNA. Like when things get hard, we go to the third person for protection. And I think it just was simply a protection shield. And it was easier to write it poetically than it was to really tell the facts.
Okay, Brianna Willis says, "What is the time span you cover in the book? You said you've been working on it for over 17 years. Did you add more than you originally anticipated? Also, very proud of you." With a little heart emoji, but it's like the less the greater than and then the three. So it's
Nice. Yes.
cute. Like yeah.
Thank you, Brianna.
Yeah.
So I put dates in the book just to give a context so that people could feel and how it transpires, but the dates don't really transpire to reality. There's some fictionalization that goes on there, and some of the people are kind of morphed into one that were from reality. So it started off with journal entries, and I pulled the journal entries out, but then I had to kind of go back and fill in some gaps because for it to make some semblance of sense, even though it's kind of poetic and lyrical, there is somewhat of an arc and a storyline. So I had to go back and pull some pieces from my journal from when things were good and write them in a different form so that it matched the third person and the disorientation pieces. And then more recently, there was more of the orientation pieces. So it kind of skips around in terms of, really decades of my life. Uh, so the time span that it kind of captures is basically from about 1993 to now.
Mm. Wow.
So
Okay.
there's actually a piece in the book where I talk about how a friend had given me a book after, my marriage had fallen apart. She had gone through 2 divorces, and she sent me this book called Crazy Times. And it was a little unnerving to read this book. It was helpful, but it was unnerving because I thought my experience was utterly unique. And I was the only person that had gone through these kinds of things or had these sorts of thoughts. And I read the book and it's like, wow, I am just like everybody else. How about that? And one of the things it said in there was that it would take 2 years for me to feel more grounded. And I thought, I don't have 2 years. I'm like ready to go. And, 16 years later, I'm still figuring it out. So, yeah.
Okay, Maureen Burns Hardegrate, so happy to see you accomplish this goal. Do you have plans for a second book? If so, can you tell us about it?
Oh, Maureen. Uh, I can't believe I've done one. And so I'm just kind of savoring the experience now, and we'll see if there'll be another book. I really keep feeling like I'll tell you a book I want to do.
Ooh,
And I don't know
good
how I'm
question,
going to pull it off,
Maureen.
but
Okay.
you're right. You're hearing it first. Here's one that I have in my heart that I really want to figure out how to do. Is I keep thinking about how incredibly proud I was watching my daughter graduate from college. She now has her master's, but when I was watching her graduate with undergrad, I suddenly had this feeling of, wow, what my mother must have felt when she watched me cross the stage. And my mother had her undergrad and master's, but how proud her mother must have felt to watch her cross the stage. And there was this notion of a book around 3 generations of women and the
Mm,
journey with their daughter, that I feel like is something compelling in that for me.
wow. Okay. Well, look, here we go. Okay, Janet Thompson, what's the best relationship advice that you would share with a young girl in the dreams stage?
Ooh, these are good questions. Best relate the best relationship advice I could give to a young girl, a middle-aged girl, an old girl is be yourself and don't um, don't worry about what's going to happen. And it, be fully in the relationship, be authentically yourself, and pay attention to red flags, for heaven's sakes. Not everyone's meant to be a spouse. And I think young women in particular feel like there's a timeline. And if you've dated someone for so long, well, then you must have to get married. Well, that's not true. And so I think be authentic in yourself, be on the journey to learn what you love, what you like, be able to articulate what's important to you, be a good listener about what's important to the other person, and make sure that there's a partnership there. I think we're all a little we're kind of set up for failure with the line, you complete me.
Because nobody
Well, we're
completes
full, we're fully
anybody,
whole, we're fully formed.
right?
We don't need completion. What we want is someone we enjoy spending some time with and that makes our knees weak and pushes us to be better of ourselves. And we do the same for the other.
And that was really nice how you put that. Uh, you've been featured. It's interesting that this is happening during your book release. I saw a special feature on Instagram about you.
Oh, why, yes, Kanji.
But it's perfect timing, don't you think?
Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, I am still single, and that's okay. And if so, these two women did this really incredible thing and thought, you know what, the online dating thing is just exhausting, and we're not meeting anybody, and so let's try and experiment. And so they decided that they would put together this Instagram page called the Meet My Person Project, with the notion that we know so many people and they know so many people that surely if you hear about someone and you know what they're looking for, maybe you have a friend you can connect with them. Or you have a friend that you can't figure out, like, you deserve someone great. And then you read about it's like, oh, I think you'd be great for them. So I was person number 8
Oh, I love
that
it.
just that just launched on yesterday.
And it just seems like they're all you're just stepping out of, and just really just showing your heart all around the same time. Is there a reason why you think this is all happening right about the same time? I mean, was it the pandemic, or do you think it's that moment?
I think it's just that moment, Kanji. I think so many of us, if we really take a hard look, we realize that we were our own roadblock. And I've been really conscious about. I mean, I find my career is very important to me, Kanji. When I was in high school, one of my friends got married very young, and there were three. Me and my two best friends were sitting there in a really long Catholic mass, and so we started chitty chatting. Sorry, and we started thinking about, well, what will the future hold? And and so we looked at one of my friends, and she had a long-term relationship. We're like, oh, well, you'll marry, your boyfriend, and you'll have kids, and you'll have a great life. And then we looked at the other, well, you'll get married, you'll be a housewife, you'll do great. And then they both looked at me in high school and said, and Lisa will have her career.
Oh,
I was like, wait, what? And kind of lo and behold, here we are. Lisa has her career. And I love my career, and I love the work that I do in the community. And I had an amazing marriage. I had my marriage was 16 years. That's pretty successful.
yeah, it is.
And two incredibly wonderful children. And so, we've graced the world with two amazing human beings. So, good on us. And so I really feel like the past 16, 17 years have really my focus. There's just so much space on the plate. And so I was involved in the community and my career and my children. I don't know where the space was, quite honestly, Kanji, a for me to be fully present in a relationship, to be honest, to be fair. As much as I wanted it, as much as I thought I can make it work, could I? I don't know. And so I feel like the universe knows now, well, the space is opening. I still have a great career. I'm losing my earbuds. Um, but my children are grown, and are doing amazing things on their own. And so there's some space is kind of opened up, or maybe the universe is saying, okay, here we go. Now we're open. And the other thing is, I'm just trying to get out of my way, Kanji. And I am a Capricorn. And if you do Enneagrams, I'm an 8 and I'm an ENFP, all the things. So if you look at any of the things that you look at, it all says that I don't really like to be vulnerable.
Wow, so you're really good for you.
And so I think there was a piece of me that said I need to just bust that open. And it's time to just be true. I'm vulnerable when I want to be. I'm kind of an open book. I think anybody can tell you it's like, really, you're not vulnerable. I let out what I want to let out. But when it comes to relationships, when it comes to my heart, that's a whole different conversation.
Since
And
you
so I'm
announced,
trying to open that up.
yeah, and since you announced the book and did person number 8.
Yeah, right. Person number 8.
Well, I mean, have you seen anything different in your space that has happened, or is it just so early on that
Well, it's early on. So I have not met my person. I haven't been introduced to any persons. So there's a cool little Google form you fill out if you think there's somebody that I should meet, and the ladies that run the site will call those together and present
that's
me information.
interesting?
I have to tell you, Kanji, I keep telling this, and I don't know why I keep saying this because maybe it's putting out bad energy in the universe, but eons ago when I first went, when I first divorced, it's kind of like, okay, sister, you got to get out there. I was like, all right, let me try the online dating sites. And this was a really long time ago. And so this was early on with eHarmony when it was very much based on your personality, very much. And they were only going to send you people like within the geography or the things that you kind of framework you did. And I don't remember my framework being overly tight. And, my friend says, "Oh my gosh, isn't eHarmony just exhausting? All the hits, all the no, it was crickets. Crickets, Kanji. I had no matches on eHarmony, and it was based on personality. Now that was hurtful.
And you're all personality. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a glitch. That was a glitch.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So I have this fear that the meet my person project is going to be more crickets, but we'll see.
We all
And,
have.
either way, this is the good news, Kanji.
Everybody has fears. What?
Yeah, the good news is I have an amazing life, and if a partner emerges, how exciting! If it doesn't, I'm loved. I'm good. Life is great, so it's all good.
Okay, so Emily Sharp says, Lisa, you always taught your team to put something out in the universe, and I will never forget the vision board experience. Such a full circle moment watching this interview. Congrats, be the light. And then Maureen Burns Hardigray is back. She says the generational graduation idea sounds like a good premise, Lisa. Write it when you're ready. Okay. That's kind of like she's giving you advice.
Yeah, she is. Well, Maureen is a great friend from LSU. Go Tigers! And she is an amazing published author. She has lots of books out there. So I'll be calling you, Maureen.
Okay, we have another question from Verzola Law. What do you hope for younger and future generations through your taking the time to tell the story?
Well, my real hope is that anyone that reads the story, for those that, the big learning is around the cycle of life, and that we're all going to go through challenge, and that you'll be fine. That's really the lesson. And so for anyone that's been through divorce, it's a way to reflect and realize you're not alone, and maybe you had some of those feelings too. There's actually reflections pages at the end of the book, so because people that have read it said, "Ooh, I had to pause and think about that," and so you can journal yourself. For young people is maybe some things to pay attention to, some things to work through. I don't know. It's part of the challenge for me, really, in writing the book. Like I said, one of the stinking thinking in my head was, who would want to read this and why? And I really do. After I read it and I got it and I read it from beginning to end, I'm like, that's really beautiful. That was really beautiful, Lisa. Good job. I it's so I think it's anyone. I mean, we're all looking for love. We're human beings. We want to be loved. We want to give love, and to think about the way in which we seek that is important to think about. And so I think there's a lens in the book to do some reflection on that. And honestly, I in my faith tradition, God is the word. You can insert whatever word you choose to when I say God in the book. But like I said, this is not only a journey through divorce, it was a journey of faith. And so I was on a deep faith journey through the whole thing to really make meaning of my connection in the world. And the cover of the book, I keep going back to that cover. The cover of the book, the painting that I did was when I truly experienced um, a profound sense of the universal God love that is all consuming and infinite. And so, my advice to everyone is to always know you are loved, you are surrounded by love. It is in you, through you, around you at all times that you can draw on, that it doesn't always have to come from an external source. And if nothing else, that's a big takeaway from the book.
And it is really, I mean, you can really do this in one sitting because
Hmm.
it's like they're little bites, right? They're little bites, and then you have like I like how you do this. Wait, let me just the book of Drew, verse 1, right? And then
Yes.
you have the years, right? And yeah, so this is great. And
Hmm.
Sandra Hester Steele said, completely relate to the comment about finding a partner versus staying single. Thanks for saying this, Lisa. So
Thank
yeah,
you,
I think
Sandra.
you're really inspiring people here. And is
Yeah.
that the goal?
Yes, it is. My goal is that there'll be a nugget in here that'll help. And it was really interesting because initially I thought that this would be something that would only appeal to women. And I was speaking with a male friend of mine who has had his own challenges, and he said, I can't wait to read the book. That's a universal truth. And that was kind of mind blowing to me. And so I'm excited. I'm really excited. I hope that anyone that reads the book will give me their thoughts. I'm a facilitator at heart. Um, and so, another friend read it and said, "Oh, you need to do a workbook. You need to facilitate workshops." I was like, "Well, okay." The other thing, Kanji, is my former husband and I remain really close friends, and a number of our friends, unfortunately, have also journeyed through divorce. And as they were heading in divorce, they would come to us and say, "We need advice because we want a divorce like y'all did because it was very amicable and civil and really loving." And they said, "You need to write a book." And I would always joke and say, "Well, it's a short book. Don't be an asshole. The end. Be nice. The end." It's just that simple. Just be kind. And so I do hope that this book will help be inspirational to people, help them work through whatever challenge it is. I mean, you can insert, take divorce out and insert whatever challenge because it's kind of all the same thing.
Okay, so I know you said that 45 minutes was where you were looking at coming to a close. So, first, James Boyd says, "Lizard, lizard, lizard." Congratulations. Um,
Thank you,
and
James.
so, just talk about all the avenues where we can get this, get our hands on your book.
Yes. The most direct way, the easiest way is to go to my website, dancingwaterusa.com. And there's a button that says buy book, and you can click there and you can purchase the book. If you'd like a signed copy, you just shoot me an email, and I'll be sure to sign it to you. It the in the On the website, it's a PayPal system. If for some reason PayPal is not your jam, you the my email is on the site where you can shoot me an email and ask for the other forms of handles that you can use, and that will be fine.
Okay, any parting words with regards to just this whole journey and where it goes from here?
Yes. Um, Well, should I do parting words or should I read something from the orientation
Definitely,
piece?
definitely
Okay.
read and then
We'll
parts
let
of
this be
words.
the parting. We'll let
Oh,
this be
okay,
we'll
okay,
just
nice.
kind of read it, right?
All right.
Buy the book and read more. So this is from the book of new orientation. All right, the section on new orientation. She walks slowly through the dark front yard of her beloved home. Her ears are filled with the sounds of the country within the city that brought her to this place: tree frogs, owls, crickets, dogs in the distance, wind through the trees, and her own breath in and out with patience and peace. As she has done so many nights before on this journey of hers, she looks lovingly to the sky and soaks in her moon. It is wafting in brilliance, just over halfway there, and the light it emits is staggeringly bright. The tree branch she peers through to see the heavens provides beautiful black silhouettes of individual delicate leaves, each with its own story, a mere outline of the struggle and success each experienced to be positioned in just that perfect place. She closes her eyes, soaks in a deep night breath, and as she exhales, smiles and is filled with comfort and peace. She has been on a journey, a rather long, bumpy, painful, joyous excavation journey. For so long, she felt her journey was to find happiness. She turned at a corner and sought wholeness. She traveled long straightaways to new intersections and searched for love, searching, seeking, looking, and begging along her journey to a destination unknown. She came to know God, to develop their relationship, to commit to new patterns of living and acting on that realization. She continued to seek, to ask, to pray for love. Her image of that love, a tall, enlightened, broad shouldered, confident, and kind man. She knew this was the journey God intended for her, and she paddled waterways and walked and hiked the path to this destination guided by her moon. Days, months, and years passed, and the destination was not even in sight. And at times, this brought deep sadness to the girl. But she stood up, brushed herself off, and got back to the journey, sure her destination was possible if only she kept moving forward. On this night, as she looked to her moon through the silhouette petals of life, she recalled what created each leaf of her life and appreciated the links of the roads and streams she traveled and drifted off to sleep with hope.
That was so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Okay, everybody, buy the book. You go right on to the website, dancingwatersusa.com, and you just right there at the center, you just click buy the book, and it takes you right to different options to pay. And just thank you so much for being so brave for all of us, and just putting your words down, and then not being afraid to put it out there and just publish it and let the words speak to our hearts. So thank you so much, Lisa Moore, who can now add book author to our
Amazing.
title.
Amazing. Yes. Kanji, thank you so much for being here and helping me navigate this twist in the river on this exciting venture. And yeah, here we are. I've done it, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks everybody so much for logging in tonight and being a part of this book launch. Thank you.
And they're clapping. That's a benediction. Outstanding. Congratulations, Lisa. So proud. So lots of comments there. I hope we can save them. Have a good night, everybody. And congratulations, Lisa. We're so happy for you.
Thank you, Kanji. Thank you, everyone.
Great job.